Hello, welcome back to my channel. Aimee here. So I have been very behind with doing my wrap up. So today's video is going to be July's wrap up. So all the books I read in July, I read a total of 9 books in July. 10, although 2 of those 10 were graphic novels. So we'll get those out of the way first. So let's get started. Yeah, I was in a Walking Dead mood. I actually ended up finishing the show. I stopped watching it somewhere around the beginning of season 10, and I don't know what sparked this like re-interest in the show. Like, no, I take that back. I know what happened. Daryl Dixon got his own show, so I was like, oh, I have to watch that because Daryl's one of my favorite characters, which he's not in any of the comics, but he's like my favorite character. So I wanted to know how he got to be on his own. I wanted to know how did they get separated? Did they all die? God forbid. So yeah, so I wanted to know. So I went back and I finished watching The Walking Dead, finished season 10 and the last season, season 11. Cried my eyes out. Oh my goodness, but season 11 was insane. It was so action-packed. I can see where I got bored with season 10 and how it all started. The beginning was very slow, but it did get a lot better. And season 11 was just action-packed. I found that it was a lot more gory as well. So if you haven't seen season 11, of course, if you're a Walking Dead fan, I'm sure you have. I'm late to the party, but it's very gory. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, I was in a Walking Dead mood, so I picked up volumes 3 and volumes 4 of the comics or graphic novels. So in volume 3, this is where our crew discovers the prison, and you know, they go through and they clean it out of all the walkers and everything. But getting back into the comics, so basically this one in a nutshell is just them discovering the prison, clearing it out, and making it their new home. So there are some characters in here that weren't, I don't think they were in the show in the beginning. I don't think. So we have Tyrese, and Tyrese has a daughter. Yeah, in the show he's definitely on his own. I love Tyrese's character in the show. In the comic, not so much. There's also Lori is still here. I did not like Lori in the show. I don't like her in the comics. And then we have Carol. Carol grew on me in the show, but then I started to kind of back away from her in the show. Now in the comics, she's a completely different person. She's very vulnerable. She's very clingy. Yeah, very different character in the comic. Not sure how I feel about Carol's character actually, but yeah, so there's a little drama with our characters in the prison, because if you remember, if you watch The Walking Dead, when they do discover the prison, they also discover some inmates that are still alive in the prison. Like, I think they were like locked up in the kitchen, so they had food and everything. But yeah, so we have some drama with that, just like we had on the show when they discovered the prison. So it was very fun to like just get back into when they discovered that. And then volume 4, we get a little bit more drama. It just basically continues. We still have like a Tyrese and Carol story. I believe they're together in the comics. Yes. In the show, obviously, they're not together, but they are in the comics. But so out of the ones I've read so far, I've loved all of them. I mean, this is only volume 4, but the ones that I've read, I've really liked. This is the only one that I really didn't care for. It was okay, but I just saw some things in these characters that we don't see in the show, and it just kind of pushed me away from the characters. Once again, here we are with Carol. She's shown as a very weak woman, very weak character in this comic, more than she is in here. You can see it in here, but it's revealed and shown more in here. And Tyrese, of course, is just not that great of a person either. Then we have Rick. I feel like Rick has been pretty much Rick throughout the comics, as he is on the show. We do have a a moment with Rick in here lashing out, and I don't know if, I don't remember, like I'd have to go back and watch, you know, the seasons of the prison to see if Rick was this type of person. And it's not a bad person, he just kind of like snaps in here. But anyway, I think this was my least favorite just because they took Carol and they showed her as just a very weak woman, which in the beginning of the series, of the show, Carol is a very kind of weak woman, but the show amped her up and she just became this like badass bitch, basically. That along the way I kind of started getting annoyed with, but anyway, that's volume 4, I guess, in a nutshell. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's The Walking Dead. I mean, if you're a fan, you're gonna love the comics as well. All right, let's get into the books I read. So first off, we have Blindsided. This is the first book in the LSU series by Becca Steele. So this is Liam and Noah's story. Love these two guys together. Super hot. First time with a guy sort of trope in here, so you know how much I love that. So Noah and Liam actually meet. They have their little meet cute over a fender bender in the parking lot at their university. So they start out, you know, sort of like a little enemies, headbutting each other. Liam specifically does not like Noah, and you can like feel it coming off the pages, which kind of drew me away from Liam's character because I just felt like he was just being this really big asshole to Noah, and he really didn't know the struggles Noah was going through, and like he made Noah like fix his car and all this other crap. But anyway, so yeah, for a good portion of the book, I'd say probably half of the book, I did not like Liam. It took him a little while. They end up being housemates, and as they get to know each other, and as Liam gets to know Noah a little bit better, he becomes attracted to Noah, and these feelings are new because he's always felt like he was straight, so he's not sure what to do with these feelings. So just from there, their friendship sort of starts to grow. They spend a little bit more time together, and before you know it, they're super hot together. So yeah, really loved it, gave it 5 stars. Then we have The Replacement Wife by Dormy Kane. Loved it, 5 stars. So right away, right in the first chapter, we follow Elisa as she tells us how she suspects her brother-in-law, either suspecting him of being a murderer or something. She's very suspicious of him because he has just lost his fiance. His fiance has gone missing, and now he's telling Elisa and her husband, Josh is her brother-in-law, right? Got all these names in my head. Josh is her brother-in-law, and he is telling Elisa and her husband that he met someone and he'd like to bring them over to dinner to meet the rest of the family. And Elisa is immediately on defense of her friend and Josh's missing previous fiance, Abby. So Elisa takes it upon herself to kind of start basically investigating Josh and see what's happening. So they end up meeting the new girlfriend of Josh, and it's this book, y'all, was all over the place. Like, I had a time keeping up. Like, my notes are insane. I have like extra pages I had to like paper clip inside my little journal here because so much was going on. So I don't want to, with that, I don't want to give too much away, but just know basically this book is Elisa just trying to figure out what is going on with Josh. He was married before. That wife died suspiciously. It was considered an accident, but it was very suspicious. Then he meets Abby and they start dating and he proposes, and then like not even a month goes by and he's already wanting to introduce another woman into everyone's life. So it does look very suspicious, and I myself wanted to know what was up with Josh because we kept going back and forth. Like, is he a good person? Is he not is he not a good person? That kind of thing. Is Lisa's husband involved in some kind of way? We get a little bit of him as well. Not like necessarily his point of view, but just him as a character in general. And like he's trying to figure out, like, is his wife crazy, or is his brother really, something's going on with his brother and he's really doing something to these women. So we do have a few great twists at the end as well. Just follow very closely. So there's lots of little clues and such throughout the book. Like I said, my notes are all over the place for this book. I do this as far as my book journal, just so I can remember like what happened, like actually what went down in the end. Like I can remember a book and like know what happened if there was a bad guy, or what happened to the good people or whatever, but I forget the details. So my notes are basically for me just to remember more about the book as time goes by, and I tend to forget the little details. So yeah, there's a couple good twists in here, so just pay very close attention if you haven't read it yet. If you have read it, you know what I'm talking about. It was a great read. I had a great time with it. I also did listen to this on audio, and the audio was fantastic as well. I had a great reading month as far as in July, as far as thrillers go. This is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. Fantastic, 5 stars. This also is a book that I feel you need to pay very close attention to. Take your notes. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of characters. So basically we have these 3 best friends that in the beginning of the book, this is no spoiler, it happens right away. I think it's also in the synopsis. We have these 3 friends that they have this game that they play, and it's basically like worshiping like these gods, like Persephone type. I don't even remember the names of these goddesses maybe, but anyway, they play these games in the woods. And basically one night the game went a little bit too far. So 2 of the girls run out of the woods, letting someone know that their friend is very hurt. She's in the wood, don't know if she's dead or whatever. She ends up surviving. Her name is Naomi. So we basically follow Naomi throughout the book as she's sort of like remembering what happened. Her part of her mind kind of like really forgot the details. Now we're 20 years later, and the guy that they put away for hurting Naomi that night in the woods, he was a serial killer. So they said it was him that was in the woods, and the police caught him, and he was put away for what he did to Naomi that fateful night. Well, now he has passed away, and it's sort of like rattled something between the girls, and they end up coming together, and basically things from that time start coming back up to the surface. We also have a character coming in here who is a podcaster who wants to get the story of basically the victims of our serial killer that has just recently passed. And Naomi is basically a victim of this serial killer. God, I don't remember his name. Did I write it down? Alan Michael Stahl. He's not like mentioned a lot in the book, so like I have his name like in bold pink letters. Hot pink letters. Alan Michael Stahl. Was he really the attacker? So anyway, Ethan is our podcaster. It's not a podcast in a book. It's just like the character that's doing the podcast. Another great story with twist at the end, like what actually, as we find out what actually happened to Naomi and her friends that night. And then we also have a character named Cody who actually sort of rescued Naomi that night. Anyway, it was a very good read. I did listen to this on audio. Audio was fantastic. It was actually read by the same narrator as The Replacement Wife. So great narration for both of these books. And yeah, just great twist at the end. Just lots of stuff happening in these books. I have it like my final thoughts on this. I have like a hardcore thriller. Just keeps you questioning. So I loved it. Then I read Keep It in the Family. This is by John Mars. I gave this one 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. There was a lot going on in here. I also listened to this via Audible. That there's a cast of narrators, and I love when there's a cast because you get different voices for your characters that you're following. The reason for my 4 stars is it started off very, very slow. It took me, I have in my notes about 15 or so chapters to really get into the story, and that's when like things started picking up and sort of happening. So we have Mia and Finn in this story, as well as Finn's parents. I think we kind of follow everybody. We follow Mia, we follow Finn, and Finn's mother and his father as well. And there's also a strange character that we follow that we don't know who they are until, of course, the end. I would describe this as like just a messed up psychological thriller, family drama type of book. I mean, it's definitely John Morris. Like I said, it's messed up, it's twisty. So yeah, back to what I was saying, Mia and Finn are newlyweds, and they decide to invest in a fixer-upper of a home. While they are in the process of knocking down walls and things like that, they come across messages on the wall. They come across skulls in the attic. And then from there, things start kind of rolling into the story and like what happened in that house. Mia sort of starts to get a little obsessed with the house as far as like what might have went down in it. She's trying to just like discover more about the house and the things that happen in it, and which sort of lead to different details in the book. Everybody has their sort of hands and everything. Like I said, it's all over the place, so I don't want to give away too much. Like I said in the beginning, it did take me a while to get into the story. Now, the beginning of the book, you're basically meeting all your characters, and I guess that's why I got a little bored with it. I didn't really like Finn's mom. I felt like she was too intrusive with into their relationship and their marriage kind of thing. And I found that she treated Mia very poorly. So we just kind of get to know their characters and how they flow with each other, I guess, as like a little family. Mia also does end up getting pregnant when she and her doctors don't think that she will ever be able to get pregnant. So there's that little backstory. Yeah, a lot goes on in the end. Twists that are happening in the end. It's all over the place, and you really can't trust anybody in this book. Then we have Nick and Charlie. This is just a little novella about Nick and Charlie's relationship and how it's blossoming. Nick is about to go off to university, and he is leaving Charlie behind, and Charlie's a little upset about this. Nick's all excited about going to university, and he's sharing these thoughts with Charlie, and Charlie's not vibing with it. He's not happy with it. He doesn't like it, so he sort of acts out on that. I guess maybe a little jealousy, and will their relationship survive? Some of their friends are breaking up because they are going to different universities and things like that. So, you know, Charlie's wondering, are Nick and I going to have to do the same thing? Nick's going off to university. I'm still in high school. He's going to meet all kinds of new cool people. And I'm just over here. It was just super cute. It was super fun little novella to read. This one's not a graphic novel. I got it wet, so my page is a little crinkly because I read it in the pool. But yeah, we do have some pictures here and there, but it's not the graphic novels that we usually have, but it was still so much fun to follow Nick and Charlie. And we get a little bit more of a drama between them. It's so cute. I adore Nick and Charlie, and I can't wait for more. I think there's another graphic novel that'll be coming out, right? At the end of the year, maybe? Am I just dreaming that up? I don't know, but I can't wait for more. I also watched the second season of Nick and Charlie, which y'all know, of course y'all know, because I vlogged it. That's right. I forgot about that. So cute. Absolutely. Oh, it's just adorable all the way around. All right, let's talk about Kian's focus. This is by Misty Walker. This is part of the Briggs Fairy Bay series by both Kay Webster and Misty Walker. They both write in this series. This is actually the second book in the series. I don't have the, I always forget to bring the book with me. But anyway, I'll put, you know, of course I'll have the book right here, like what the individual book. But okay, so I really hate to say this, but I didn't like this. I didn't like this at all. So we meet Kane in the first book, and Kane is actually, him and Jax from the first book, the sheriff of the town, were best friends in high school turned lovers, and Kane was ready to come out. Jax was not, because he has a very homophobic family and he was just not ready, and that's okay. But Kane wanted to live his life out, and that's okay too. So so we have Jax, you know, that was in the first books lonely and just angry because he couldn't live the life that he wanted to live. And then we have Kane, who's still there in Briggs Fairy Bay, and he's living out his life out and proud. He has a wine bar as well, like a gay wine bar, as well as a gay club that you can go to at night. Of course, everybody's welcome. You don't have to be gay to go to the wine bar or the club, but you know, he's very successful in the town and he's out. And so anyway, we meet him a little bit in the first book, and I find that his character from the first book to the second book are very different. I did not like the Kane in the second book. I don't know how he was supposed to be portrayed in the first book, but I got him as being just, even though he was, you know, an out gay character, he still loved Jax and he still had feelings for Jax, and I felt like he was like this sweet character that just wanted, you know, just wanted the best for everybody. And then in the second book, he's like this I don't know, just like all about himself, you know, I don't care kind of thing. I don't know, I just didn't like the way he was portrayed in this book, as well as the guy that he was falling for, Archer. I didn't like him either. He was a total asshole. I put, so in my notes I have only 4 chapters in, I'm not sure how I feel, not crazy about the narration. So I did listen to this on audio. I don't know if that was the reason I didn't like it, but I didn't find the story was really good as well. I also put I didn't like Kane or Archer in this story. Kane seemed different from the first book. Archer is a dick. The story was cheesy. The sex scenes were cringeworthy, and the narration was not good. That was my sum up of the story. And then part of the way through I was like, okay, I think I have enough. But I kept reading anyway. I think I just wanted to know how it all ended. Like, it was terrible. I actually like would fast forward through the sex scenes. They were just so cheesy. I just my last thing I put, thank goodness it's over. I gave it 1 star just because I read through the entirety of the book, but I just felt like it was just no point. I don't know. So okay, so Archer was married, and he loses his husband in like a sort of a fishing accident, crabbing accident. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. There's also Archer's sister, which Archer moves to Briggs Fairy Bay, where his sister Sarah is at. So there's also a story there. I didn't like his sister either. We had the Rainbow Vigilant is still active. We don't find out who the Rainbow Vigilant is in the first book. We don't find out until, I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, so yeah, Archer comes to town just to kind of start over, and he meets Kane, and they kind of, you know, form this like little relationship. Archer seems almost like a little aggravated with him in the beginning, and Kane's just kind of like, whatever, I deserve better kind of thing. I don't know. I hate to, you know, I really don't like talking bad about a book, so I'm not gonna bash it anymore. But yeah, I didn't like it. I really just found I was upset that Kane's character wasn't what I had thought he would be when he was presented in the first book. So moving on. Then I finally read The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I gave this 3.5 stars. Okay, so I just wasn't as impressed as everybody sort of hyped up this book to be. I feel like I've read better. Like his later books were better to me. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good. It was a decent thriller, but I didn't find it as like knock your socks off as I thought it was going to be, as much as people like hopped it up and they were like, oh, this is his best work. I feel like I disagree with that, but that's just me. That's just me. But like I said, it was a decent thriller. Once again, it was a very slow start to the book. It took me a couple chapters in. So we start off with Ted. Ted meets a stranger at an airport bar, and the more drinks he gets in him, the more he starts talking about just his life in general to the stranger. And he tells the stranger that he thinks he basically knows that his wife is cheating on him with their contractor. They are building a new house. Ted is very rich. When he met Miranda, he knows that Miranda basically married him for his money. He jokingly tells Lily, that Lily is the stranger that he meets in the airport bar, that, you know, he could kill his wife. And Lily just goes on to suggest, yeah, I think you should kill her. And then we kind of jump into Lily's story. Lily didn't have the best childhood growing up. Her parents, they were seemed like they were like hippies, and she had kind of raised herself. They had people staying at their home. Her father was some sort of author, and her mother, I think, was like a type of artist. But anyway, she didn't have the best childhood growing up, and she's done some things. She's done some things since from her childhood to now, the time that she meets Ted. So there's like a part 1, part 2, and a part 3. Once we get to part 3, we start following a Detective Kimball. But before that, in part 2, that's pretty much where things go down. And we do get like a twist in part 2, which is basically kind of like halfway through the book. So you're like, getting a twist now? What could this mean? What's going to happen from here? And then from there we follow Detective Kimball. So it did get better. Like, it did start off slow for me. It did get better. I did appreciate it as just a thriller. And there was some twists that I did not expect in here. So it was enjoyable, but I just wasn't as impressed as I thought I would be. I did listen to it as well on audio. It is a cast of characters, so that was a +1 for me. And the narration was great from all the narrators that we got. Decent thriller. And ending on a high note, this is Iced Out. This is the first book in the Light and You series by C.E. Ricky. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. So we have Quentin and Oakley. They are rivals, hockey rivals since high school. They played on the same team in high school, and then when they move on to college, they end up playing on the same team there. They have a bunch of hatred between each other, which I thought was pretty hot. We also have a straight character. Quentin is considered to be straight. One night they go to a party, and basically there is like they taunt each other, and things happen, and then from there, so we kind of have like their first connection and their first hookup, I guess, which was extremely hot, but yet they still don't really like each other. Quentin starts to kind of get obsessed with Oakley. Oakley is out and he is gay. He is he comes from a family where his family are in hockey, so he comes from a long line of hockey players, and Quentin just thinks that he gets, you know, stuff handed to him on a platter. So that's basically why they are rivalries. But being the hockey guys that they are, of course they have superstitions. So one night they hook up and their team wins. So from there on, they think that the reason why their team won is because they had a hookup. So it kind of keeps going for that reason, and it just kind of keeps advancing, and their relationship grows from there. And like I said, Quentin kind of becomes really obsessed with Oakley. Oakley kind of backs off in the beginning because she's just not sure, you know, like him and Quentin have been enemies for so long, and he all of a sudden they're like becoming like these friends and kind of attracted to each other, and he kind of gets scared. So there's a little bit of that in the beginning. There's also a little bit of drama that happens within the team before, you know, Quentin and Oakley really become better with each other. I absolutely loved it. Loved them, these two together. Love like a first time with a guy situation, and sports, romance, everything, all the boxes are ticked. Hot together, rivalries, just, it was so good. I can't wait to get to the second book. Okay, that is it for July. I feel like that was kind of all over the place. So stay tuned for my August wrap up. That'll probably be coming up next. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you're all doing well out there. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, how you feel about them. How was your reading month in the month of July, or how's it going now? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Hugs from me all around, y'all. Thank y'all so much again, and I'll see y'all very soon in another video. Bye, y'all.